Hello everybody, it's Captain Trucker. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you all tuning in. In today's video, I'd like to share with you all my story about how I became a father here in the Philippines. My journey, what I learned, what I also learned about poverty, what I learned about being poor myself, being homeless at one point, and eventually building a house here in the Philippines. So stay tuned. Well, I had a lot of fun earlier on in life, ladies and gentlemen, in my 20s and so forth. I was living up in the Bay Area in California. I had an RV. I lived in a rock and roll studio, and I was just having a good old time. I mean, I did like accounting work back then, and I pretty much spent all the money that I made, as a lot of people do when they're younger. And I have no regrets about that, because the truth is I had a lot of fun, and it's like the type of experiences that you just can't replicate in life, right? So I'm not one of these people that looks back in my 40s like, oh, I wish I saved more money when I was 25 or 23, because I don't really feel that way. Anyway, I was having a good old time, man. And then, one day I started talking online on one of these, what they call like a dating site, to this woman in the Philippines, right? And keep in mind, like, this was years ago, and I had another channel on social media a long time ago. I'm not going to say what it was, but I had never seen any other vlogs on the Philippines. So I really didn't know much about the culture other than what I had kind of maybe collectively inherited over the years from what I learned on, I don't know, National Geographic, and just kind of the images of the Philippines in general. And I did kind of have that image that it was, a place of poverty and a dangerous place for foreigners, and a place where men get scammed, and you're never supposed to go to these places, because they kind of teach us that in America, like never to leave. It's sort of part of the status quo. And I kind of, eventually got out here with that mindset, and kind of nervously. And the people around me, of course, they told me that it was a bad idea, that I was going to get scammed, and that blah, blah, blah.
Dean, you got 60 seconds really quick? Okay. Remember that trip I told you about that I was going to take to see my family in Maine? I canceled that, okay, so I'm going to be here. The plans changed. I've decided I think I'm going to go to the Philippines. I think I'm in love with this woman I met there, and I think we're going to get married, and I'm going to come back. I think I'm going to do it in January or February. I'm going to go to the Philippines for 13 days. What do you think? It's magic, right?
I think you're fucking stupid. Get out of my house.
I'm serious.
You don't go to the fucking Philippines for fucking women. Are you stupid
I'm
or
not
something?
going there for women. I like her. I think
Have you even met this girl?
No, but that's why I'm going there. And I've never been there, and I figured, hey, white sand beaches, yippee-ki-yay. I just wanted your blessing. And of course, to let you know I was going to be gone from here for like 13 days. But you don't have to pay me. Don't worry about it. What do you think? Oh, we'll talk later. But yeah, that'll be January, okay? Thanks, Steen. You're the best. White sand beaches, my friend. I want to be over there.
It's a corporation and they have different offices, but
Yeah.
all of them come out of the one office, and it would be just the one account.
Now, Dean, I've been in early and everything, doing good work for the company.
You're doing a great job.
I know. Did you talk to Graziano about that contract?
It's not Graziano I have talked to, it's Gene.
Gene, right?
You don't talk to Gene during end of month.
Dean, aren't you glad I'm here right now? Come on. You know you love me right now. Come on, tell me. Just tell me.
Get the fuck out of my office.
But I had a belief, man. I guess I was like a romantic, and I was sort of like I did it in all the ways you're not supposed to do it, right? Because I get out here. The first month I was here, we conceived our child, my son now, who's now, you've seen him in the videos, he's sleeping right now. Sorry if I'm waking you up. But so he's sleeping with his mom right now in the other room. And yeah, it's just, I had like $700 on me in cash at the time, like literally in a plastic bag that I came out here with. And like the 2 years before that, 2 or 3 years, I was kind of like living in my car basically. And it was a weird time, because I was doing pretty well up until I think age 28, and then like pretty like age 28 to like 34 was probably the most difficult years of my life. I guess I kind of had like maybe like some kind of midlife crisis earlier on in life, like an early midlife crisis, if you will. And it was, I can't like emotionally get into it right now, but it was a really, really difficult time, you know? And it's kind of a dark place, so I try not to revisit it. I try to make levity about it now because it's kind of over. But anyway, so I get out to the Philippines, and you know, like I said, I had like $700, and I leave because I was only here for 30 days. Your initial 30-day entry visa or whatever they call it. So anyway, I get back. I'm sleeping in my car at the time in the Carlsbad area around San Diego, Encinitas, Carlsbad. And I get a message from my girlfriend on Viber that she's pregnant, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. I mean, I was like, I guess that's what we were trying to do, and I guess it worked, you know. And I was like, okay, I guess everything's working. And then I thought, oh, geez, time to get a job or something or find a new career. Because I was doing all this like contract work in the past. And at that time, I was doing deliveries in my car. I was doing like Amazon deliveries and DoorDash, stuff like that. And I've told this story before. So for anyone who's heard it, I apologize. But I'm trying to just tell different versions of it and let the new subscribers know kind of what they're getting into. So anyway, I'm sleeping in the car one night at a truck stop. And I see these trucks pull in. I put two and two together because I'm like, you know, a high level genius here. And I thought, geez, I really like spending time in my car. And I saw these trucks pulling in. I thought I should become a truck driver, right? So I start studying for my permit. And I think 4 weeks later, I'm at this company called Prime, a starter company. I go to work. I go through all this stuff to get my CDL, the permit. I actually failed the driving test the first time, so it took me 2 times to pass the driving test. And yeah, after that, I was pretty much off to the races. And that year alone, I think I made 2 or 3 trips back to the Philippines. I remember we went to, we were driving on a motorcycle while my son's mom was pregnant, like in Cebu, and driving around Oslob and that part of the island. And it was a real magical, interesting time. But yeah, I mean, I learned a lot, man, over the years about like poverty, like real poverty. Because like when, you know, you're messing around in your 20s and stuff and you're in the US, yeah, like you can be poor and everything, but the level of poverty really does not compare to like a developing country. Okay. So coming out here for me was like a really big realization, kind of like, sort of sobering moment of like, wow, like this is real poverty. You know, people get sick and they lack like the proper health care. You see kids on the streets in Manila, in the slums, children begging for food. I mean, I told this story, man. I was in Manila once getting my son's CRBA. And I think these like kids and their parents came up to us like asking for money. And I think like I gave maybe like 50 pesos or something to one of the kids. And the other kids started fighting for it. And they ran across the street and almost got hit by a car. Yeah. For $1, basically. And so stuff like that is like a real, it's kind of mind blowing, you know, and it had a profound effect on me. It really did. And it kind of made me realize, you know, like as an American, I have a lot of opportunities to work, you know, to really take careers seriously and to save money, to invest money, and to sort of get ahead financially, because no matter how idealistic you are, however you see the world, like one of the cold, hard realities is that we do need money in this world to survive and to have options. Now, one of the things that I learned on my journey out here is, well, first of all, like the first years of my son's life, we built this little mini house, which was about, I don't know, I paid like $4,000 for it, and it sustained us for quite a long time. And, you know, like the neighbors and living on this land in the provinces, and you kind of see like, you know, what real poverty is about. And and these neighborhoods and stuff, it's just real interesting because you kind of see the effects of poverty over generations. And like you have like systemic poverty. And the thing about being poor, and even for myself, is I think you get used to it. You sort of develop like a denial, like, oh, I don't need money. You know, I'm not going to be some person who just works and chases money my whole life. I want to live, you know, a happy life. But the problem is like you won't have any options. For me, the thing with like money is it buys you options, right? So like right now, I built this 80 square meter house. It has a roof deck and 2 rooms. It's pretty modern, like the interior and everything. We live in a nice like Philippine subdivision, and that's all great. The point is though, is that I have options. So like I don't need to be like in a certain neighborhood or like, oh, I only want to surround myself with like affluent people or middle upper class people. The thing with money is like you can go live in a poor neighborhood, or you can go live in the city if you want for a while, or you can go live in the beach, like in Sugar Beach or something, is that you have options. And like that is, for me, that is kind of important because I don't want to end up, you know, being broke and poor out here, certainly as I age, because we've all seen on social media too what happens to men when they come out here unprepared or with not enough money. So, you know, those things are really important. And poverty is not a joke. And it's true, like there is poverty in America, obviously, but it's not on the same level, because like in these Western countries, like you still have opportunities. And the fact is, like a lot of people in this country just do not have opportunity. And so that was a real wake-up call for me. And it kind of, you know, made me take that kind of stuff more seriously. And, you know, after all these years of sort of getting ahead financially and working really, really hard and investing and making now, you know, 19, 20 trips, whatever it's been, to the Philippines, I've still been able to, you know, financially do okay. And I'm happy about that. But it hasn't been like an easy sort of journey. And I don't sort of want to put it out there like everybody should map exactly what I did in life, because the truth is I don't know if a lot of people could go through the things that I've been through and still sort of make it out on the other side and do well, especially for like older men. Like if you come out here as a 60-year-old and say you have a kid and you're broke, I mean, that's going to be a really, really tough way to go. So probably would not advise that. But anyway, but yeah, it's been good, you know, and I've been vlogging now for about 3-4 years. I started vlogging in like, I think 2022, just kind of messing around. I knew nothing about the expat YouTube Philippines community. I didn't even know it existed. And then one day, like I think it was in 2023, in like October, December, I think I made a video about, you know, like not moving to the Philippines just to save money. I was kind of like warning Americans not to do that, and I got some traction. And then I realized, oh my God, this is like a whole ecosystem and niche. And I started seeing all these bloggers pop up in my feed and all this and that. And so the rest of that is history. But even, you know, this journey on YouTube as well, the past 3 years it's kind of been a learning experience for me as well. And I've learned more about myself, and I've kind of grown a little bit as a person too, without, you know, not to sound cheesy, but yeah, you kind of do learn about yourself when you start doing stuff like this. And yeah, but anyway, that's my little 2 cents for the day, is that poverty is real. I do think that Filipinos in general have a resilience over generations. And so they kind of relate to poverty differently than Americans. I think they're much tougher, they're more resilient, they kind of get the basics right. Because, you know, they talk about simplicity and contentment and kapwa interconnectedness in this culture. And that stuff is very real. Like, whereas like a cynical Westerner might look at that and say like, oh, that's just the way poor people think. Like families have to live together because they don't have Social Security. They don't have the opportunity. Otherwise, they'd be just as materialistic as Americans, and living on their own and kicking the kids out when they're 18, putting their parents in nursing homes. But it's not true, because I believe like this culture, they kind of get it. They get the fundamentals of life because they've been through the poverty, they've been through colonization, they've been through more natural disasters. So when you go through stuff like that as a culture, you kind of figure out like this is what matters, which is, what is that? Oh yeah, family, right? Yeah, like the family. And I think that's why you see even affluent Filipinos and other Asian cultures, like when they're in places like Daly City or the Bay Area in California and these other places, like they still stick together because I think they get it. Even like successful ones, like my first Filipino girlfriend many years ago, she did really well. She had 2 houses. She was like 10 years older than me, so she was more successful. And she still took care of her family. She bought them a house. She had her own house. And her family still all lived together, and they still all had, day jobs, and they all worked in the San Francisco Bay Area. And they all kind of, and as they came to America, she said that they actually got closer because they really realized then, like, we have to stick together. So anyway, that's my story for the day, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. So stick together, man. Poverty's real, but there's always hope. And if you're an American and you need to leave and go back to work, well, do it. Because you don't want to be in the Philippines broke, that's for sure. All right, it's Captain Trucker. Share your thoughts and comments as always. Appreciate you all watching. God bless. Bye-bye.